Yo, what's going on? It's Kofi. I'm back with another episode of the WhyNotI podcast. Got a super special guest with me. I know I say that all the time, but I actually have.
Oh,
that's
nice. I like
Miss
that.
Bella,
That's a good intro.
Miss Bella Penfold. You guys might know her from X Factor. Her voice is banging, like it's mad. It's actually mad.
Thank
but
you.
yeah, man, like it's funny because we met like the other day. Like literally we was
in the dance.
You get me? In the dance, was in a function, vibing. You get me? And you know when you just like get attracted to someone's energy, it's like, yeah, like who are you? Do you know what I mean? And it's not even like I knew you from X Factor or anything where it's like, oh, it's better like clout chase, like, oh, let me come chat. It was more so like, yo, your vibe is a vibe. And the thing is, everyone was in there vibing anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when it's genuine, I just think it's sick.
Yeah, I think I turned up on my own, so I was just there, smiles, like just obviously.
You were by yourself?
Yeah, I knew a lot of people in there. I know stylists and that, but
Yeah.
But I thought I'm just gonna go vibe and just check who's there. So I think I was open to like just vibing with like everyone. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I think that's the energy I gave off, which was nice, and that's definitely down to these events. Always good.
That's sick because one of my friends, she went for the first time, and I do hella stuff by myself.
Yeah, I love it. I take myself out for breakfast, dinner, everything by myself.
In it, like people, the stigma with doing stuff by yourself. Like I go cinema by myself. I go on holiday by myself. I do everything like not every day, people.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like by choice.
Exactly. Sometimes I'm out of hours, and I'm like, the hours are for me and me only, like not for everybody else.
Yeah. Like I feel like you get it. Like I was speaking to someone, and I was like, "There's a difference of going to the cinema because no one else will go.
Yeah.
There's a difference too. I don't want to go with anyone else. I want to go
On my own.
Like it's good to check in and like be you.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think that's super important. So for people that don't know you, who would you say Bella from Penfold is? Because like there's always misconceptions, but like who do you say you are?
Who am I? That's a really good question. I would say that I am as a person. I don't know. I'm the type of person that whatever I do, I throw myself into it. I'm loud. I speak a lot. I'm very, very empathetic towards other people, and I think whatever I do, whether it's singing, acting, performing, that as long as I carry my core values with me everywhere I go, then that's who I am. So I'd never be like, oh, I'm Bella Penfold the singer, or I'm Bella Penfold, these are my morals, and whatever I do, I apply them to the task at hand. You know what I mean? And I like doing jobs well, and I like finishing things. So yeah, that's the type of person I am.
That's funny.
I go all around the houses.
That's funny because like I used to identify myself as Kofi Joseph's the basketball player, or Kofi Joseph's the model. No, it's like Kofi Joseph's. I play basketball. Yeah. I model. There's a difference.
That really nice guy who plays basketball.
It's
that
difference
really
of
amazing
labeling
guy.
yourself. Do you know what I mean? And putting yourself in a box. What are your core values?
I would definitely say being kind. I would definitely say like trying to understand, because I think you can say you can be understanding, but not all the time. Not everyone understands. So I think sometimes a lot of these things you have to put a try in front of. I think, trying to be always kind, because, we're all humans. Sometimes we're not. Trying to be understanding, trying to be loyal. And I think when I put that, I've been reading like some really good books about, not saying things that like make you feel guilty. So if you say, oh yeah, kind is where you are, and then you're not always that, it leaves room for guilt. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you say I always try and be kind, it means that you're being a little bit kinder to yourself. So if you do ever fall short, that you're not kind of like feeling guilty about it or resenting yourself. So I like to use that trying word, because it just leaves a little bit of room for mistakes without feeling or beating yourself up too much.
That's the thing, because like to be human is to not be perfect.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So you're from where? South?
Yeah, London. We're from London.
So what was your upbringing like in London?
Well, I lived in London for a short amount of time. I lived there for about 7 months. I was born there, South London. And I ended up moving to Spain. I did most of my primary school in Spain.
Do you speak Spanish?
Poquito. A little bit. Small. And yeah, that was amazing. But again, the lifestyle over there is like very different to over here. Then I kind of moved back when I was about 7, 8, and then I lived in Kent for like a big majority of my life, and then Essex, and then come back to Kent, and now Manchester. So I've lived quite a few places. I don't really like standing still. I just say I'm just passing through everywhere. Yeah, I don't like being too stagnant, I don't think.
I feel you on that. So you see, do you feel like living in another culture, especially like a Spanish one, which is so different to like English culture, do you think that had an effect on you, like just by seeing the world in like a different way?
For sure. I think obviously I went to 2 actual Spanish schools out there, so they was filled with Spanish kids, and then the last school I went to was international, so you got like a range of kids from all over Europe, from across the globe. So I think it's definitely kind of ingrained in me, like being able to sit and talk to loads of different types of people. Do you know what I mean? I think, and that's why I think I love traveling and moving around so much, is that like when I was in Kent for a little bit, a lot of the people in this town that I lived in, you know, their parents, their grandparents, them had all gone to the same schools, and then you find that when you take them out of that town and go and sit them with other kids, like if you brought them up to Manchester, they find it very difficult to relate or to, you know, jump in with jokes, or because they just haven't had that diversity. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me it's done absolutely wonders for my music, for understanding people, and for it made me really not understand myself, but then it's almost done like a 360 that now like it's like, yo, I will never know who I am. I'm just different in all these places. So it's actually kind of done a full circle, make me realise that it's okay to not be exactly the same wherever you are, or do you know what I mean, and that you are forever changing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you grew up with your mum and your little brother?
Yeah, my mum and my little brother, us 3 forever. My little brother is he's like the love of my life. I love him. He's like my baby. My mum is just a super amazing woman. I have put her through absolute hell and back myself, like in terms of like mental health and stuff. I've actually put her through absolutely everything, the worst of the worst. So she was literally, when I told her I was doing this mental health podcast today, she was like super proud, because she's watched me really badly struggle as a kid with things, and yeah, so she was really happy.
Gotta love moms,
so I had to mention her.
Gotta love moms.
Gotta love
I'm a
mom.
mama's boy, only child, you know, so
okay.
I hear you. You know what I mean? Like,
my mum is my best friend in the world.
They are there in the trenches.
In the trenches,
like, I
walked her through that mud barefoot. This woman didn't know what to do. She's a young mum too. She looked at me and thought, "Yo,
it's mad.
this kid is mad." Literally, and all my other cousins and that were like quite chill, and I was like mentally, I like, you know, I suffer a little bit of ADHD and I've been on meds for depression and that. She just looked at me and was like, "Oh my god, I've ended up with a mad kid."
Yeah, that's how it happens sometimes. Like, they're looking in, like, what was that like growing up? So, you know, when you feel like you're like the black swan or like the odd one, because that's how I've felt in like my family at times. Like, why do I want to do something different? Why am I different when they seem so similar? And when you're young growing up, you don't understand why you're different. You don't understand why you want to do different things, and it's hard to understand. Obviously now you're a little bit older, more self-aware. You're like, I needed to be like that because the path I'm on required me having to be like that for now. But at that time, what was that like?
I mean, I struggled so badly as a kid, like with my mental health and kind of like trying to find myself. I think I've had relationships with girls and my family. My mum's cool with it now, but my family was not okay with it. You know, they're all from kind of like southeast London, kind of, you know, very instilled in very old kind of traditional ways. So they was not best pleased. I didn't live with my mum for a good few years over it, like on and off, like always arguing and things. And yeah, I just think I was like, one day I was this, next day I was that, and it was every other week my mum was getting called into the offices at school, and Bella's having panic attacks, or rushing me to the hospital, or I've done this to myself, or you know, she's making herself anything. Like, it was just anything I could. And I think a lot of it, I was probably trying to get attention because I was so different. Like, do you know what I mean? I don't know what I was trying. I don't know what I was trying to do. I don't know what I was really going through. It still puzzles me now because now I'm better. I don't even kind of really know how I got to this point anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, I put the women through hell, and yeah, it was. But it's been like a lot of learning and like looking back and just kind of realizing patterns of behavior in myself that are negative. And yeah, just kind of listening a bit more and kind of realizing that, you know, I am the be all and end all and the deciding factor in everything of my life. Your brain is the most powerful thing, right? So just making sure that I know that I'm in control and in the driver's seat, and not making other people feel like they are, you know, and that if I am different, that's because I choose to be, and that's because that's how I choose to be. And that has, I think, kind of leveled me out, because I was a bit like, woo, one way left, then right, then left, then right. And then I think realizing that I've got the will, and if I'm different, it's because I've chose to be like this, right? And that's, I think, what straightened the wheel up of the car a little bit.
That's super important. Like, it's because I was like that too when I was young. Like, I fit in, but I didn't fit in.
Yeah.
And at first I used to think that was a negative, because I was like, I can hang with the athletes, but I don't just define myself as an athlete.
Yeah.
So when I'm over there, I can only really stand being around them for a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I need to just go do something else. But then I can hang with the art kids, but I ain't really like them 100% either. So I didn't feel like I really fit in anywhere.
Yeah, I always had like I was always had like loads of different groups of mates, but I'd be like friends with like one person out of that group. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it'd be like I'd have like a group of friends over here who'd like listen to certain types of music and be a certain way, and I'd know a couple of people in that group. And then that's what, and I think like I am just that person that you know, that gets fulfilled by, you know, needs a lot to be fulfilled. Do you know what I mean? So I think just being one type of way doesn't actually fulfill me. Do you know what I'm saying?
And that's okay.
Yeah, and that's absolutely fine. It took me a long time to realise that.
I think it's a lot more accepted now to be yourself and be open and honest, because like when we was younger, mental health wasn't really spoken about like that. And it's hard for young people now. Do you know what I mean? But they've got the support in terms of talking about mental health and like puberty and teenage years and everything that's going on. When we was younger, I don't feel like it was really spoken about as much, and it can lead to confusion. Do you know what I mean? And no wonder you're being dragged all over the place, because you're trying to fit in. Everywhere, you're going through emotions, you're going through this, you're going through that. Our parents and our support systems, they didn't really understand what's going on either, so how are they supposed to support you? Do you know what I mean? So it's tough. So when you was younger, you put on quite a lot of weight. What was the lead up to that? Because a lot of people have this thing where they think, just stop eating. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you're not happy with your weight, just stop eating. But I saw that you said there can be like a vicious cycle where it's like you're not feeling good, so you comfort eat. Then because you don't feel good of like the way you are now, because you've comfort ate, your comfort is now to eat. So it's just a cycle, and people don't understand the mental side of that. So what was that like?
I was like pretty normal weight up, like all right the way through primary school. I think I'd say as I got into year 7, I was always quite a tall girl. My mum and dad are like big eaters. They love good food, which is great. I've always been fed well, obviously.
What's your heritage?
English. So okay. Well, my granddad's Jewish. So he's got olivey skin, and he's dark and the big nose. and then my dad's side, like my great granddad would have been like a Romany traveller. So there's like lots of like different. We done like one of them ancestry things. Sick. And it come back with like 53% English, and then I'm like Maltese, Swedish, Finnish, but like little 2s and 3%. And my dad said that must have been where like we must have travelled quite a lot. But yeah, being a big girl, I struggled because it wasn't just the way I looked. It wasn't just about my appearance. It was about the times when I was running at school and I couldn't run as fast, or I was getting out of breath, or I was dancing and I wasn't as flexible, or and don't get me wrong, there are big girls out there whose fitness is amazing, but mine wasn't. I know a couple of bigger girls, and their fitness is amazing. They look after their bodies, they eat right, and they're just naturally they're naturally curvy, and they could probably outrun me at this size. Do you know what I mean? So, but it was affecting my mental health a lot. I was comfy eating a lot. And then when I got to about year 9, I'd like been going through really bad like mental health, and then I'd started becoming friends with this girl who had the opposite problem than me. She was anorexic and bulimic. So my idea was, let's befriend this girl, and let's help each other out.
Oh, you was thinking that, or was you thinking, how does she not eat so I can learn to not?
This was basically it. Yeah. Let's and then from this friendship, I've never spoke about this before. From this friendship, kind of stemmed quite a dark friendship, I'd say. She was basically kind of teaching me how to lose weight, but obviously in drastic measures. Anorexic, bulimic. My mum still doesn't know this to this day, so I'm sure when she watches this will be news to her. My school did for a little bit and things like that. They kind of caught on to what was going on and kind of like ready-eyeing us and what's going on there. And and it was and obviously that never worked because I wasn't being healthy, and it was just a constant cycle of eating loads to feel good, then battering myself that I've eaten loads, and then going and doing something to try and make myself feel good, and then going and doing it all again. I used to get called whale. I used to have like, when you first start sleeping with boys when you're younger, I used to have like one of the first boys I slept with, I remember, denied it because I was big. And like as like a young girl, he denied it. Like sleeping with me, because it's like he was like, no, I didn't sleep with that big girl. Nah, I didn't sleep with her. She's fat, and all this, and like to have that, I was embarrassed. Yeah, I was embarrassed by myself. Like I looked in the mirror and I was guilty. I was resentful. I hated the way I looked. I hated the way I was treating my body. I didn't feel good about anything, and that definitely really made me struggle mentally, I think. And even now, like when I've lost weight and I still look in the mirror and I still think I'm that girl, and people find it very difficult. And when I see people go, oh, you're so pretty, like, oh my God, and they expect me to be so far up my own bum. But I'm not. And then I go, have a look at this picture, what I used to look like. And they go, wow. And I go, trust me, like I haven't always felt like this. I haven't always been this confident.
Why did you show them that picture? Because I know what you're talking about, and it's funny because I spoke about this for the first time on a podcast I recorded with another girl. Yeah, it was a podcast I think 2 before this, and I said to her, "I've got body dysmorphia," but people wouldn't think it. Yeah, because like they said, yeah, you got 6-pack, like you take pictures with like no shirt on, this, that, and the other, you're the athlete, and I'm like, what you see and what I see are 2 different things. I'm talking, I have to like measure my arms and that, and like the numbers don't lie. Yeah. Because there was a time when I was young, a kid came up to me and did this to my wrist. Yeah. Then he did the same thing to my foot, to like my bicep, and he was like, "Look, everyone, they can almost touch," and that killed me. That did. Yeah. So like, the body dysmorphia, I get it when you're talking about now when people are like, "Oh my God, blah blah blah," you hear it. But there's some days where you don't believe it. Do you know what I mean? And then why do you then show them that picture? Because I don't feel like you're showing it them to do the comparison. Yeah. I feel like you're doing something for you. Yeah, I think I show the picture to feel like that they receive me for who I am. Do you know what I mean? It's almost who do you think you actually are, though? I think it's not her. Yeah, I don't know. I think sometimes you panic that like you don't feel relatable enough, right? And you're like, look at this picture, right? I can relate. I'm just a normal girl. Do you know what I mean? Especially when you put the makeup on, the hair extensions, people start looking at you and going, she thinks the world of herself, and that's not the case. So you show them to go, I'm relatable. You can relate to me. Why does the bad side have to be the relatable part? I don't know.
I don't know.
It's something to think about though, because I've done the same thing
over and over again. I do it all the time.
Oh, it's
so I was showing people yesterday. Literally.
It's long, like even like with my hair now being blonde, people are like, yo, you're a model. You're a model. Like,
look at me without the blonde hair.
I meet people and they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, what do you think? And in my head, I've identified myself as a basketball player. There was a time my skin was wild, and everything. And now they're like, yeah, I'd say you're a model. I'm like, that's the first thing you'd say. Like, yeah, like, why not? And I'm just like, let me show you what I used to look like. Let me show you like my hair and my skin was crazy. Because low key, that was also me. The same way this is me now. Yeah. But no one would have said that then. Yeah. Which is wild.
Yeah. It's almost like trying to get the same compliment for the person that you was. Do you know what I mean? Kind of like hunting for that.
But the funny thing is, we're not them anymore. Yeah. But we are at the same time. Do you feel like you've got imposter syndrome in terms of like based off looks now?
What do you mean by that? Like
imposter syndrome is like how would I define it? Where you're not who you are, like it's a facade. Where it's not like. Because immediately when people say you look pretty, Barbara, you're like, let me show you what I used to look like. Yeah. Because that's who I really am. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know, because it is when you start talking about yourself, I think it becomes you. So when it comes down to my mum or my brother and my nan, I feel like I can tell you about you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. When I look in the mirror, on the other hand, I start trying to tell myself about myself. You find it a little bit more difficult, right? Because it baffles your brain, doesn't it? Because I don't know why I do the things I do sometimes. That's what I'm still trying to find out now. I'm 23, so yeah, I'm only just starting to notice patterns of behaviour. So it's definitely one to think about. That's dope. So, when did you fall in love with music?
When did I fall in love with music? I come out of my mum singing and tap dancing. I've loved performing, not just music, performing in general. Since I was a kid, you've never been able to shut me up. Whether that's, Mum, look at this new dance I've made, or let me show you this song I've wrote, or let me do this acting piece. But yeah, I've always loved acting as well. That was kind of like my main passion until I went on the X Factor. I was meant to go to acting school and things like that, which was really, really cool. But then I never went on there because I ended up on the show. So I've just been doing music forever. I love singing sad songs, I'm not gonna lie. I do rapping and things like that, but I'm a sad girl at heart. But I think I fell in love with writing music a few years ago when I come to Manchester. I've always like tried writing little bits and bobs, but coming here, being surrounded by so many opportunities and creatives, and you know where I was in Kent just before I moved here, there wasn't studios and stuff that you could just pop in and, you know, have a smoke or do whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's like now I've got the facilities and the friendships and the people that want to do that with me. So yeah, I fell in love with writing music, I'd say a couple of years ago, but as far as performing and music goes, I've just always loved it.
That's dope. So you used to sing at hotels.
Yep.
You've got musical theatre history.
Yep.
What was that like the early stages, the early days? Because obviously a lot of times when we reach a certain level, we're so focused on looking forward now because it's actually kind of like attainable. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? You're like, I'm almost there, let me keep grinding. But like when you look back in hindsight, what was it like when you first started? Because you had a passion for something, but then when you started taking a little bit more seriously, it gets a little bit more framed. What was it like?
So when I was like singing in hotels and stuff, that was kind of like the first professional singing job I had. I was waitressing in this hotel. The singer didn't turn up. I went, I'll do it. Just I've just always would jump at any opportunity. I've always been quite a tenacious kid. And yeah, and then I thought to myself, oh, people's coming up to me going, I'm having a wedding here in a few months, would you like to sing? So I thought, yeah, let's like start getting a bag. I went Vistaprint, printed off my little cards, got myself one of them little rolled things to put behind me. I was like, yeah, I can get money out of this. Yeah, I started doing my little videos and I used to post, and that's how long ago it was. It wasn't even like Instagram really, it was like Facebook. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, posting all my videos on Facebook. And then I just always loved performing. I've always loved being able to capture someone like so quickly in the space of 2 minutes with just a song. But yeah, it was difficult because before the X Factor, I think without that show, I wouldn't have really known how to even get in a studio. Do you know what I mean? Like the town that I was in, there wasn't really many artists or kids that loved music. It was like, so I wouldn't have even, without the show, if it weren't for the show really, that kind of put me in touch with a lot of people and kind of showed me, right, now you've been on the show, now you can give people a message, go, yo, can I come into your studio? Or do you know what I mean? So so I felt like a bit of loose ends when I first started doing it, and I never thought I'd make a career out of singing, especially because my biggest critics was actually my dad. He's all cool now, he's very proud of me now, but he's a very critical man, which I think quite a lot of dads are. So he just kind of battered into me, the acting's amazing, but you're not the greatest singer, so get bits of money from it, and that's all it would ever be for me. Do you know what I mean? So I never really saw the music shooting for the stars until Simon, really, until Simon pressed that buzzer was the time when I thought, yo, middle finger to my dad. Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry dad, but you know, someone here who does music and he says I'm good. Do you know what I mean? So and I think it was kind of that, and I think that was it really.
When did you realise that you could actually sing? Because everyone thinks they can sing. You know what I mean? There's a difference. I think more so went after the show. I think on the show I felt very like I couldn't, because I knew vocally I know there's more. Hold on a second. I'm thinking you're gonna say when I was 8, I thought so you're talking about I'm on X Factor now. And before that, we weren't really sure if I could sing, but I'm on it. And Simon,
I always loved singing, right? But I've always been told like you're not the greatest singer, and I know that because I know some incredible vocalists, right? But it was when I think I come off the show. I think a lot of it's been up here in Manchester. I think I've done a lot of growing in the past 2 years, a lot. And because even on the show, I was very unconfident. I knew I was good enough to sing.
How did you know you would? When did you know you was good enough to sing?
To sing. Oh, okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Probably, probably. Probably when I started getting like picked for things at school plays and that, then you start getting your little ideas, like when you play like Mary and the Nativity or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Then you start kind of getting an idea. It's kind of like when you get a kid who's good at drawing, you say one picture's good, and then they want to draw more pictures, so they practice, they get better, and then the more you get better, the more you get told you're good, right? I think probably school time was like the end of primary school when you start doing your school plays and stuff, and and you can start to see, and it's not even just the singing. I think it was just I think I found that I was good at performing. Do you know what I mean? And I was good at being confident on a stage. Do you know what I mean? Not me myself, but put me on a stage as a character or in a song or anything. I'm good at that. Do you know what I mean? I think that's what it was that I found that I was good at, even pretending to be confident.
The situation for going to the auditions, for going on the show, what was that process for people that don't actually know? Because we'll just be chilling and we're like, yo, X Factor's coming on. But it's recorded so far in advance. Like, how did you end up on there? Did you think I want to go on it? Did someone say you should?
Right. So there's actually a mental health story behind this whole thing. So I'd actually auditioned, not a lot of people know this, for the year before. A guy calls me up, it was Louisa Johnson, his manager, who won the show in previous years. So would you like to audition? This was like the year previous to when you saw me on it. So I went to Tobacco Docks in London. It wasn't at Wembley, it was at Tobacco Docks. Went right the way through the auditions. But at this point I was about 17 and I was really struggling with my mental health. I had like scars up and down my arm, and I was really stressed. I was struggling, I was on meds, everything. So mum's taken me to this audition. They've been filming me all day. Like, you know that kid where everyone's looking and going, why is she getting picked to do everything?
Yeah.
Got right the way to the judges, because there's like loads of auditions before you even see the judges. Got right to the judges and they all just gave me a no and was really harsh. Obviously, I was 17, I've taken that bad. So my mum has gone mad. She's gone mad. She's going mad at all the producers, like, yo, like, you've actually pulled my daughter out of every crowd, filming her, doing this, making her build her up, making her feel like she's gonna be it's gonna be a and then you've gone and battered her in there. Do you know what I mean? So my mum had the head producer in there, everything, like, yo, like, this is so bad. So then the next year rolls around. My manager got the guy who originally asked me, goes, do you want to audition again? So I've gone, take me back, right? We're going to audition again. Let's go for it again. So at this point, because of obviously the way my mama had my back, let's call it. I had to go through like a strenuous mental health check before I was even allowed to audition.
Good.
So they had to sit me down, and like I'd worked on myself so much in that year. I wasn't at my best where I am now, but I was definitely getting better. And I remember Lee, one of the head producers, he's an amazing man, sat me down and went, do you know what? He went, despite the drama last year, I'm ready for this, right? I went, listen, I'm ready, I'm here for it. And so, I had to go through loads of mental health checks to be on the show, amazingly, which is great. They gave me like a little counsellor. They let me go on counselling sessions while I was on the show. I had a counsellor every week. So they really like backed my corner. I remember the day I got voted off, Lee come up to me and he was like, look how far you've come. And he was like, because the first time I auditioned the year before, when they said no, I was gutted. And when I got voted all the way off from the second time round at the quarterfinals, I walked off and I felt stronger than ever, and I felt amazing. So it was a mental battle even getting on the show. Anyway,
what gave you the cojones to go back a second time? Because like, what happened in that year to be able to go from they've lifted you up to drop you down lower than you've probably ever been, on top of all the life shit that's going on. In that year, what did you go through to be able to come back and, I wouldn't even say do so well, because you could probably sing before, you could still sing, but what's got you going in there with a level of confidence and self-belief to outdo all the BS that happened before, to really excel?
I think that was kind of where I started accepting like my little bit of madness or my little bit of mental health issues as something not to be scared of. I think that was when I first started. It was my first girlfriend had just cheated on me. I'd gone through all of that. I'd started seeing another girl. I think I just started getting my little bit like, yo, I don't care if I'm like this kind of vibe. Do you know what I mean? I got issues and I weren't afraid to kind of talk about them. And that's how I went into that audition. I went, Lee, I've got issues. I've still got them. I'm still on the meds. But I'm not scared of him no more. And I'm willing to go do the counselling whilst I'm on the show. Let's keep on top of it. I know I've got problems, but let's be aware of them. And instead of me going for, I'm fine, I'm okay, and not being fine behind closed doors, was going, there is something in me, whether, I don't know, maybe if you've done a brain scan, we don't know scientifically why people are more
than others.
Why people tap into depression, or why people get these things over other people. And I'm sure there probably is some scientific, but let's keep on top of it. Let's be real about it. Right, all right, I had to, like, once a week say goodbye to everyone in the house. Right, I'm going to my counselling session. I remember Robbie Williams one time was at the house, and I've come back and I've seen this guy stand outside, and I didn't know it was him, so I was like, excuse me, mate, can I borrow a lighter?
Sick.
Yeah, and he's gone, where have you just come? I've gone, Robbie, and he's like, where have you just come back from? I went, come back from a counselling session.
Probably got one as well.
Yeah, and he went, keep that energy, telling people. And I used to go, see you later, I'll be back in an hour when I've sorted my life out, when I've had a little cry and that in the room and whatever, and talking about it, that kind of. And I think that was when I first started not caring what people thought, and now I really openly talk about my mental health, and I think that's been how I've kind of stayed a little bit straighter, is by actually saying, well, it's normal, it doesn't matter. And then that's made me feel more normal. So all the times I feel like out of it a little bit, or like, oh, I'm different, that them anxieties have gone out the window, and now I'm just dealing with the core problems, do you know what I mean? Rather than that added anxiety of not accepting that I sometimes am a little bit at 100 miles an hour. Sometimes I'm very, very quiet. Sometimes I don't like myself. Do you know what I mean?
You accepted that you're human.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sick that you did that. Because the other day on my story, like, I came out my counsellor and I put on my story. I'm like, yo, I'm feeling good. I just came out my counsellor. Even if you're good, you can be better. You don't always have to go just because life's shit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've always had this analogy. I'm a mental health advocate, therapist, counsellor, advocate, where it's just like, when you're out of shape, you go to the gym, you work out, you get in shape. You don't then stop going to the gym. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
that's a good way to think about it.
So like I try and give that analogy to people because it's easier for them to comprehend. When you want to get fit, you go to the gym, get fit. Once you're fit, you don't just stop going because they know in their head, then I'm gonna become unfit.
Yeah.
It's the same with counselling and like just supporting yourself, keeping yourself afloat, checking in, and it's just I love that you're on that and you speak out so publicly about it because. When people like us speak about it, it makes people feel a bit better.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
For sure.
So you've gone on there, X Factor, in front of like all the judges. You come out, bare people. I'm talking. I watched that show and I think I play in front of thousands.
Yeah.
But could I really sing? Because you guys walk out there on your Jack Jones. You've been introduced. You got the camera and that. They're like, yeah, go. Once you're out there, you have to perform because even if you walk off. Mad. You perform, don't go well, mad. You can only do well, really. And they're just looking at you. This AI is just blinking. Then there's bare people, and you know, there's people at home gonna be watching, and you perform the Joss Stone song.
Yeah.
How was that performance like?
I was like that. I think like the whole way through the show, you can definitely. My dad says it all the time. You can definitely see the anxiety. He says now. When I watch you on interviews and stuff, he goes, different kid. He goes, the anxiety, but I was a wreck, but that was the only time I enjoyed being a wreck was on a stage. Do you know what I mean? Because then it stood for something. If I had anxiety through the roof, was depressed through the roof, at least on that stage, it counted for something. Do you know what I mean? So that was the only time I really pushed through it and actually enjoyed it, almost like if you're scared of heights but you go on a roller coaster, you do it for the thrill of the fear, right? And I think that was the only time where I felt very in control of my mental health, that it was like, yo, I'm doing this to feel anxious, you know what I mean? So it doesn't matter how I feel anxious day to day. Today I'm choosing to feel anxious because I'm putting myself in that position. And I think that's why I've always loved it so much, because it made me feel in control of that feeling. It was the only time that I could ever control if I was going to be anxious or not. Put yourself on the stage. I've put myself there. Do you know what I mean? I chose to feel like that. So.
That's amazing. I've got a phrase that I say to everyone: feel the fear and do it anyway. Yeah. Because it's exhilarating. I'm alive.
I get
a
positive. I think that's where the madness comes from. Is I'm a bit of a I don't know. I like the feeling, and that's maybe people like us are just more susceptible to mental health things because we enjoy that feeling. Do you know what I mean? But that's a great quote.
It's mad because people think we're so different. Where they're like, how are you able to go up on stage and be on TV and perform for so many people? How are you able to do this, do that? And I'm like, we feel anxiety and nerves just like you. We just decide to lean into it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like lean into it.
A little bit.
The butterflies.
Like that
the butterfly is like that feeling we get just like you, like, oh, like my heart's in my ass, like yo. But it's exhilarating rather than it. Let me change the lens I'm looking at it, rather than being scared and it turning me off. Let me embrace and turn me up. You know what I mean? And seeing how you respond, because every new situation that challenges you stretches you a little bit. You don't know how you're going to respond, and it's nice to see how you do, because you don't actually know. Do you know what I mean? How was it when Simon gave you the buzzer, the golden?
I've never actually watched the show back, so I've always kept these memories in my head because I don't ever want to watch it back, because I want to always see it from my view. Do you know what I mean? And I remember standing on the stage and he said, "You're not getting through it." And I remember feeling like I wanted to cry my eyes out. So I'm a really emotional person, right? Even though it's not like me throwing attention, it's only because I'm just so, like, I'm just out. I just wear my heart on my sleeves. And I remember looking for my mum in the crowd, because I was thinking to myself, yo, just find your mum's eyes, right? As soon as you see him, you're going to be all right. She'll be like, it's okay. And so I never actually saw him get up, right? So when that stage, and I will just never forget, when that stage went gold and looking behind me, and it's me. And I think as a kid, like, obviously being a singer or a performer, I was at dance school and we used to go, should we make a dance for Britain's Got Talent? Like, we used to apply for, do you know how many years I've been applying for Britain's Got Talent? Me and my 3 friends, Bella Baldock and Charlotte Bartholomew at Italia Coin. Do you know how many times we made up dance routines for this shit? Like, so many times, right? And there, all of a sudden, it's happening to me. The lights, the gold, the confetti. My mum's flip-flops come on. She's flicked it off her. It's 32 degrees heat. We've been there all day. my dad wasn't there because he actually didn't think I was going to get through.
Nice.
So I've called him up, like, and it was just insane, and I will never ever forget it. And like, that's why I refuse to watch it back, because I just don't even think I could ever watch it from somebody else's point of view. I need it to always be kept from my perspective, because I just would never want anything to ruin that feeling. And so many people, I think, come off that show, and when they don't get through or don't get what they want out of it, like, are so quick to say it was the best experience of my life. If they do All Stars edition, Simon, I'm there. I'm running back. I'm running with all my new songs, everything. You're getting it danced. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I loved it. If that is as far as I get in my life, like, I think to myself, my dad actually said this. It was quite interesting. He said, if you'd have got called to be a backing dancer, like, for just one song, he was like, how would you feel? You would have told everybody. He went, so be gracious. Like, he went, you got so far. Do you know what I mean? He was like, you would have told everyone at school, like, yo, I'm gonna be a backing dancer on the X Factor. I'm gonna be a backing singer. He went, you've been picked as a contestant.
No, you've got backing.
So he was like, so I think that's why I just took everything so well. It just felt amazing. I'll never forget my feel. When I talk about it, I look at the floor because I'm like reminiscing about it.
Good, like
I actually see it in my head.
I can see you going back there.
Yeah, I'm there. It started everything off. I just loved it. It was great.
You said a quote which says, "My ambition is to become a singer, but in doing that, I want to become an advocate for change, whatever that means to a person." What did you mean when you said that?
When I say change, I'm like, I think that's where I feel now I've become so okay with myself. Is that because my dad and I always bring him up because he's very criticises me. I think because he sees a lot of me in him, a lot of him in me. So he almost like self-criticises through me. Yeah, he says I change a lot around different people, which I know I do, right? But that's fine. That's okay. Yeah, that's okay. And yeah, so I think that quote was about, obviously you always kind of want it to be positive change, but sometimes it is change in a negative way to come back and change in a positive way. It is ever changing. Life is ever changing. You are ever changing. So it's being an advocate for being okay with change, wherever it is, whatever it is, having them down days, because you know you're going to change again and you're probably going to come back. It never like sometimes, and this is why it breaks my heart when people take their lives too soon, because sometimes they think when the change is bad and then another bad change happens, that it's only ever going to go down. They don't wait for that one to come back up. And that's about the change. It goes like that, and being an advocate for that rather than that or that. Do you know what I mean? It's about realising that, and I think that's what I meant. And I don't even think I knew, because I said that quite a few years ago, and I don't even think I knew quite what I was saying when I said it until now I think about it. Do you know what I mean?
You actually ended up being an advocate for change because you came out on national TV at flipping 19 about being lesbian and supporting the LGBT. A lot of people that aren't coming out on national TV, like you've said, instead of me doing it small, I'm doing it big. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just gonna do it.
Just being me, listen, right? Like, listen, if I'm going out with a girl, I'm going out with a girl. I've been out with a boy, recently split up, been out with a boy. Do you know what I mean? It was as simple as that. And I think that was what it was like. It was like, I don't care, like, and I think that was the start of it then. Like, that was the start of where I am now. Where I am now, it's like, and what? Like, I mean, and what? Oh, like, as long as I'm nice and kind, who cares who I love? Like, what? Like, or where I say it, or how I say it, or, do you know what I mean? And that was it. And I think it was never really spoken about on the show. It was just that. It was just, I'm singing this song because I'm singing this song. Do you know what I mean? It was never like, oh, do you know what? I don't know. I think I just started being unapologetically me.
Hey man, oh god, I've been doing that for how long? It pisses people off, but I'm like, that's a personal problem.
For yourself. For yourself. And then you find that, you know, when you're unapologetically yourself, you surround yourself with people who unapologetically accept you for who you are, and then you find that the people that care about stuff, you're not around anymore because you're just so unapologetic about it that they leave. Yeah, and it kind of filters them out. It filters. And I'm not saying that them people are like a bad people, it's just you find the people that you
Your tribe.
your tribe.
So what made you do that? Like, did you question if it was the right thing to do? You come across like a fearless person anyway. Now you might not have been as fearless then. Who knows? Clearly you was, because you did it anyway.
Yeah.
But it was a lot more at stake to talking to your family about, like, I like girls, compared to the whole world.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, what made you do it?
I got told not to by my old manager. Not to any thing, like, he wasn't trying to do it in a bad way, but his idea behind it was, you might lose out on male followers and male support. Yeah. And he was and I just said no, because if it comes out and it's like I've kind of lied about it, I went no. I just went, just let him rock with, just go with this. I've got a girlfriend, that's it, that's all there is to it. Like that, there's literally nothing more to it than that. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's why it was perceived so amazingly. But yeah, I was told not to, and I just went, nah, if I'm gonna do this, like, and I was absolutely just terrified that everything was gonna come out on the X Factor anyway, because you have to sign a lot of release forms, and you have to like tell them if you've done any criminal activity, because if it comes out in the newspaper, so they're ready for it. Do you know what I mean? So I'm sitting there like, oh my god, like, is there gonna be pictures of me at festivals? And like, I was thinking, because you think you sit there on the show and you do kind of shit yourself a little bit, that loads of stuff's gonna start coming out about you. Is anyone gonna sell stories about you or whatever? But it was just that, if I could just be as honest as possible, or just as me as possible, then hopefully people receive it the right way.
How did you find the new fame and spotlight? Because you made it all the way to the quarterfinals.
Yeah. So
there's one side of your talent now finally being recognised, scrutinised.
Yeah.
Criticised like a lot as well.
Yeah, the X Factor people watch that show. Usually the old white women. Oh mate,
it's funny by people that can't sing as well, which is mad. Like, your opinion, and now you staying and supporting your dreams down to their opinions and stuff as well, votes. How did you find the new like fame and spotlight? Because even going to the shop and like doing X, people recognise you.
Oh yeah, like I was blonde back then too, so so I just used to get recognised everywhere. Loved getting recognised out on the street, and that's why I stopped watching the show. Was when after the Golden Buzzer, obviously they posted it on Facebook. Obviously everyone kept looking at the views, because you wanted to be that kid that had the most views on everything. And I remember looking down the comments and my god, trying to find a nice one was there was people on there like going, that she looks like she's on drugs, she's so hyper. I was 19, man. I was living my dream. I was gassed. I was so excited to be there. If you're not like that, you like what?
There is a problem.
There's a problem, yo. I was so excited. I was like, and people was like, there's better singers. And I remember cried, and it was like the best moment of my life. And then it was the worst, and that's what I think almost frightened me a little bit to watch it back, because I was now looking at what them people were saying, do you know what I mean, and started noticing it about myself, and then instead of living through my eyes, I'm now living through theirs. And I remember my mum walked in, and she went, kiss that phone, give me that phone, like that. She went, that having a go at me, you're not reading them comments, right? She went, stop now. She went, have you ever cared about what anybody says about you?
I bet she talks like that as well.
She does, that's exactly what I said. Do you care how anyone's ever perceived you? She went, when I tell you not to go out, do you still go out anyway? Do you give a fuck what I say? And I looked at her, I went, no. She went, well, if you don't care about what I say, why are you caring about what they say? She went, do you know what I mean? She went, oh, you walk down the stairs and now my mum goes, I don't like that, you still piss off out in it anyway. So she went, why are you now listening to all these people don't even know you? And I thought, do you know what, too right. And I stopped looking at the vote, stopped looking at the numbers, and that was it. And I think that's why I took it, for someone who's very emotional and takes things to heart, why I ended up taking it so well. Yeah.
Sick, like mum's got a point.
My mum's got a point. I don't listen. I never listen to her. Like, why would I listen to? Why would I listen to Karen, Sarah, Keith? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, like, who are you? Like, literally mean nothing. Like, you're not gonna rain on my parade. You're not gonna make me rain on my parade. Like, you're not. Doing that.
No. I'll never, like, from now on, I will never be my own cloud. That's for sure.
How did it affect your mental health now, because you was in a bad place, got yourself in a positive place, but now your life's in a whole different space, whole new arena? what's that like? You're around celebrities, people now think your life's a certain way, whether it is or it isn't, just from you're on TV, so like you must be a millionaire, or you hang around celebs, you must be like this now, you're changing. What was that like for you?
I guess obviously we're all susceptible to making ourselves seem a certain way, especially on social media, and sometimes that can be a good thing, right? Because sometimes you act a certain way and it actually makes you proceed like that. So if you're acting successful, it can sometimes make you very successful because you're in that mindset. And I think sometimes when people talk about affirmations and like the law of the universe, sometimes I don't think it's the law of the universe. I think it's the law of the self. That if you start saying you're a winner, you act like a winner, right? You don't because you go if you say you're a winner, you're getting up early and you're going to the gym. If you say I'm a top athlete, then you start behaving like a top athlete. You don't sit there and smoke weed all day if you're saying you're a top athlete. Do you know what I mean? So I think it's actually the law of yourself, that you are what you say of yourself. And so, but we're all susceptible to it. But I think as of recently, I am just a bit more honest, like, you know, and I say to people, I get free clothes. Doesn't mean I always got the most amount of money. Doesn't. And like even the other day, I went to like a Missy Empire like event for a girl up here. And we was chatting, and this guy was like, you're so brutally honest. I was like, listen, I've just come out of a job waitressing, serving people food and drinks all day, like, do you know what I mean? Because I have to go get my money. And then I went to the other girls, what do you do? She went, oh yeah, I waitress too. But you know, I know they would have never said that if someone didn't say it first, do you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden we were sitting there laughing about how we make our lives seem one way. And he was like, you're so honest about it. But I'm honest about that. I say my Instagram's one way and my life's another. Facts, straight facts. If you, a lot of people, if you say that that's not true, then you're probably lying. Even people with the biggest amounts of money in their banks, do you know what I mean? It's definitely not a reflection of how my life is. But again, it's just a creative scrapbook, so it's whatever I want it to be anyway. So so there's no issue. Like that is it. Do you know what I mean? It is mine. It's whatever I want it to be, and my life is mine to show and be perceived however I want it to be perceived. So if I do want to make it seem like I'm doing really well, then that's totally within my rights. And then if I do want to be really honest, then that's totally within my rights as well. So
yeah, definitely facts. What was it like being? So you made it to the judges' houses.
Yep.
What's that like? Because you're not even in the. Was you in the UK?
No, we was in LA.
Yeah, like what's that like? Because I've lived in America, but for people that haven't been over there, also you're on X Factor, you're at the judges' houses. Like this is different. Like I see what they want to show me on TV, but like what's it actually like? Like getting ready to perform, you've got all the judges, you've got everyone there, hanging out with the contestants, and like what's that like?
I'm not gonna lie, they like when they film it, like you like sit in economy and then they come and get you out of economy, take you into first class, do a bit of filming and then chuck you back in economy. But everyone was bare pissed about it, but I thought it was quite comical. I thought it was comical. Like, I was like, this is jokes, bro. Like, I was like, this is really funny. Like I was like, and then we was staying. We don't stay in the houses. A lot of people think you actually stay in the house. You stay in a hotel. But no, I thought it was all really comical, like even the way they filmed it, and I was just gassed to be there. Like, I was just so excited, and it was insane. But basically, what they'd done that year was they had all the judges' houses were in LA, or like around like Malibu, places like that. So we was actually out there, all of us together. Nice. So we was all in the hotel together.
Nice.
Oh, and we was there for 10 days because the girls was the last people to be filmed. So we had like a whole holiday out there. It was lit. Simon Cowell took us to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, gave us like $300 or whatever he'd given us so we could all buy like a pair of trainers or something to wear for the thing. Sent us all out, like done like a big like massive meal for us all. And then obviously everywhere we went, we was with the X Factor crew and obviously they was all crewed up in X Factor t-shirts. So it was just, oh my god, you from London, you're from the X Factor. It was everywhere we was going. It was just lit, like it was lit. I'm thinking about moving there like soon anyway, like we're doing a little 6 months out there because it was that great and anything goes out there. So but yeah, it was the best time ever.
That's nice. It's funny that you had that mindset though, because some people like going from economy to first class and back to economy, I have an issue with it. But the mindset you've got is, yo, I'm just happy to be here.
I was because all the first class seats were like the head top producers and that. I was thinking to myself, yo, I'm just gonna buddy up with the top producer. Go, get me another glass of champagne, send it back to the economy, and that's what I was doing. So I thought you just got to find the kind of comical kind of jokes I did in it, and there you go. I was sat there, had sweetened up one of the producers. She was sending back loads of champagne for me. So do you know what I mean? I was just happy to be there. There was about 40 of us all on a plane, all having a laugh and a joke, and you was just absolutely buzzing, and that was it.
That's sick. Like, I think a lot of people need to have the right lens when they're in certain situations, because you can put a dimmer on your own situation. You know what I mean? When there's no need, like, there is a silver lining all the time.
I wouldn't have even been on that. It doesn't matter whether it was economy, business, first class. That flight won't happen in like a couple of weeks before anyway. So like, and I think that was where my mind was. Listen, like, I'm blessed. Like, I felt blessed. And like, obviously when I was flying on the flight as well, like, no one knew, like, none of my friends knew, because I had to like sign I couldn't say nothing. So like, all my friends like, I'm going away, like, and everyone's like messaging me like, where are you, like, you haven't been out? I'm like, oh yeah, like, I'm just staying in, and I'm out in LA, and I'm thinking, this is mad, like, this is crazy. Like, it was insane. It brings a smile to my face.
So once you got eliminated, you spoke about how you was in such a great place because you remembered where you was. So now it actually doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I put a quote up yesterday where it's like, I can't remember, something about when it rains and having the right mindset is learning how to dance in the rain.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? That there, you can have joy in anything, and that helps you with your mental. So once you got eliminated, what was next for you?
So I went on the tour, which was amazing, and that was all thanks to Simon. Like, if you watch the last episode where I got eliminated, he comes up on the stage, and because that was meant to be I was not meant to be on the tour. That was meant to be the deciding night whether he was on the tour, right? But me and Simon had a really great relationship. His son seemed to really like me, and I don't know, like, we just really, really got on. We really saw eye to eye. I think I was about the only person in the whole of the company that wasn't scared of him. Like, you know, he used to smoke everywhere he went, and there'll be like a girl like holding a bottle, like, so he could tap his ash and then she'd be shaking. The girl who brought his tea would be shaking, and I'd just be like, yo, Si, you're right, like, do you know what I mean? Like, we just had to use our bare banter, and so after that show, he comes up to me and says, like, you're going on the tour. So I've come off the stage, and I'm thinking, I don't even want to tell anyone in case he's lying. Do you know what I mean? So I'm just pacing up and down, like, waiting for him to say something. My guy's got the mic at the end of the show, walked on the stage and gone, this is my show. Bella is my contestant. She's going on the tour. But I was waiting for it backstage. So I'm going on, so I've already texted my mum, I've told you. And I swear, if you could have seen me, right, this young 19-year-old girl, I was running up and down, running to everyone, because everyone just stood there and was like, in the history, like, because the amount of paperwork that everyone would have had to have done to add another person onto a tour like that, is insane. Like, styling, everything, do you know what I mean? So now everyone's just, but everyone is so gassed for me, like, I'm running, I'm going, I told you, like. And then, so we done the tour, and then I started going back into a little bit of a bad place. So I was going out with a girl, this is my last girlfriend, and things were getting a bit rocky. Found out she cheated on me, whatever. Obviously going back and forward. I'm the type of person that I put my all into other people, so much so that it hinders myself. Yeah. And for a while it's great and it really lifts me up. But then as soon as I start giving more to somebody else than I give to myself, then I start losing out. Then I start going down, which then in turn makes the other person go down, because they're now trying to fill up where I'm emptying myself. So it's like a cycle. I'm emptying myself out to you, giving it all to you. Now you're seeing me empty, and now you're feeling like you're going to have to fill me back up again, which can be very draining for both parties. And then bringing in like a bit of infidelity or a bit of disloyalty. I'm a very, very loyal person. Things like that really, really get me down. And then so I wasn't really doing much. Like I said, I lived in Kent. There's not really much music going on there. I'd just come off the tour, so I've now got a good bit of money. We got a good bag for that, like a good couple bag. Like, do you know what I mean? A year's wages for that, right? So now I'm thinking to myself, easy breezy. I'm just going through life. And then now I've seen a bit of infidelity with my ex. Now I'm starting to like really like spend a lot of money and like, you know, trying to impress and give like I'm saying, and making myself fall short. And then once the money runs out and I haven't done much with it, which I definitely should have just gone bang, music videos, the money should have been used wisely, and it wasn't, right? And then
you're 20.
Yeah. And then but I had a lot of people telling me how I should do it, and I didn't listen, which brings around a lot of guilt and resentment to yourself, because now you've been told something you haven't listened, and everything that your mum, your dad, your manager said has come to fruition, and now you're sitting there feeling really fucking guilty, got nothing to show for it. You're in exactly the same position as you was before. You're actually starting to lose a couple of followers. Your Instagram ain't good. You're losing out on things. And then that kind of went on for about a year. And then obviously when I like found out my ex and we'd finally split up, I was in a real bad place. I was in and out of hospitals, and I'd smashed my flat up. And I remember my cousin flies down from Peckham because she can't get a hold of me, and I've just smashed the whole gaff up, and I'm just laying on the bed in just broken glass, just crying my eyes out. I've done every picture in there, I've done windows, I've tried rolling up a mattress and throwing it out a window because she slept with someone in my bed, like because there was someone else in my bed.
Mattresses are hard to roll.
Yeah, they're hard, trust me, they're hard to roll, so now I'm just in a right pickle. I'm in a pickle at this point, and that was when I thought to myself, and this was just before lockdown come about. So
fantastic.
Fantastic. So now I'm starting, and I've had a car crash, and it's just all going tits up for me.
Yeah.
So now I'm thinking to myself, right, my ex said she wanted to move to Manchester. So I thought to myself, you know what, bitch, I'm going to move here before you move here. And that was basically it. So before lockdown, I'd started working a waitressing job, and it kind of burnt me a bit, because I was like, yo, I've done all this amazing stuff, and now I'm in my hometown, and now people are like saying, oh, I thought he was on the X Factor.
Mad.
So I saved up money. Lockdown hits. I get drunk with my mum one night. We book loads of flat viewings, and then come up, and then that's how I got here. And then this is where I think I've really started to take my music seriously. You know, and use what I learned on the show is now where I'm using it here for sure. But yeah, it kind of, like that's what I'm saying about the change, like, and being an advocate for change, is that back then when I was on that going down a little bit, I thought I was going to keep going, and I never saw that up. And now I realise being an advocate for change is knowing that when you go down, no matter how far, it could be further than you've ever fell before, it could be further than anyone's ever fell before. But you don't keep falling, I promise. And I can't 100% say that, because I've never fell further than anyone's fell before. But I'd like to place 99% on it, that if you get there, you come in some back up, even if it's just a 5%, that you can't just keep falling infinity. Do you know what I mean? There has to be like the infinity sign, it comes back around, right? So I think that was, and it lasted a year, and I really did think I was just going to keep falling. And then I come up here and change my life back around again. And I'm sure I'll do it again and again and again, and do it for a life's worth of my life. Do you know what I mean? And I will keep doing that. And I think as you start tightening up your reins and getting older, you realise that you can actually make the changes a little bit more stable, so you don't fall as far, and that your hypes aren't hypos and your lows aren't so low, and that you kind of can just make the changes a little bit smoother.
Facts.
But it was bad after the X Factor. I was in a bad place. I was in not a very nice place, and like where I'd been through it before the X Factor, and it was like you feel like every time you get to that place, you feel like I've been here before, and every time gets worse. And do you know what I mean? So, but yeah, I think now is where I'm at my greatest after the show.
That's the funniest that you said that you moved to Manchester and you was at a bad time, because I'm not from here either.
Yeah.
And I was in, I'm obviously, when you say highs and lows, I've been in some bad places. I've been in some good places, but when I decided to move to Manny, I was in a space where I was like, fuck everything, everyone, I hate life.
I'm running away, I'm not coming home.
I broke up with my ex. I quit basketball. I was COVID hit. I was just like, bro,
this is not for me.
I was like, and then I moved back home. I was in my old
That was like me,
bedroom
how you
from
guys?
Flip. That's like, your old bedroom's kind of like, you know, when you ain't been there for a while,
Yeah.
you go back. It's like a time capsule.
Yeah.
And I'm like, there's stuff here from when I was in school. I'm like, nah, my life is literally a joke. I was like, I'm moving to Manny. I'm just gonna go. I didn't know that many people here, and I was like, I'm going.
I literally knew nobody.
Yeah. And I was just like, I think I knew like 3 people, and I was just like, man. And now my life's changed so much for the better, even with just like mental. And it was wild that you was just willing. You were just like, my life's shit, and I just need a change. I'm going. I don't give a fuck. I just need to not be here. And I done the same thing. So when you say that, I understand. I get it. So now you're in, and Manchester's such a creative hub. It's a beautiful place because the people are so nice. Everyone wants to connect. They see you, hi, how you doing? They say hello. Hey, you're not from here. Oh, you do this. I know someone. Hey, come with me. Come meet them. Or next minute they're coming over. Now you got a little friend. Oh, we're going here next week. You should come for food. Oh, I'm not gonna know anyone but you. That's fine. There's 10 of us. You'll meet all 10.
So familiar.
And then you'll meet more people, and it's a beautiful thing, man. And it's funny because when you was making that change for yourself, you didn't even know what you was about to get into for yourself, which just makes it so beautiful because you had the balls to say this ain't it, and that's going to be the unknown, but I'd rather the unknown, give it a chance rather than the certainty of this BS. Yeah. And it's crazy. So now you're in Creative Hub, you're taking music back seriously in the right way. You've let go of the past, and obviously your ex was a big part of your life. Now you've let go of that, but obviously there's still a gap to be filled, which not necessarily you want them to feel it, but there was a space that was filled. Do you know what I mean? You're now writing music and stuff. What's that creative process like? Because we all know how it was for Adele when she wrote that album. Do you know what I mean? What was it like for you?
I mean, I find that I write my best songs on my own. I'm not gonna lie. In my front room, usually I have a little smoke or a little drink. I sit there. Like it's been very eye opening to write alongside producers up here and write in spaces. I struggle a bit with ADHD, so I find it very difficult to write in small rooms because there's not much to look at. I feel like I've got to get up, move around. That's why I like my house, because I can get up, I can move freely as I want, I can smoke in there, I can do what I want in there. But yeah, a lot of my best music, I'd say, has been written in pain, I guess. Couple of like happy tunes and stuff like that, which has been written in studios, like when I'm lit, but a lot of it gets written when I'm feeling sad, I guess. And
there's nothing wrong with that.
And it heals me, and then it gives me something to do. And I find that when I'm crying and stuff, if I make music 5-10 minutes later, I'm recording and I'm swiping the snot and I'm going, come on, do another take. And that's a beautiful thing, like how you can go from sitting there like, I hate everyone, I can't believe you done that to me, or do you know what I mean? And then wiping your snot and going, give it another go, sing it again, you can get it better than that. And you don't even realise how you're bigging yourself up, like, as you're doing it, do you know what I mean? And how you can, rather than just sitting there and crying and chucking a bit of TV on, so you actually find that you end up giving yourself a little G and start, you know, pulling yourself together, and then you realise half an hour later, I feel way better. And then when you got a song out of it, you're like, feel buzzing.
What's sick is we can feel it. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's a difference. Like, if you're singing a sad song, and that's the thing, like when I'm driving, and I'm like not feeling great, I need a sad song. Let me dive into this. You get me? So if I'm gonna dive into this with you, I need you to be there. Because I'm there right now. Do you know what I mean? And I need that connection. So the fact that that's your creative process, it's fantastic. Because you can't be gassed up singing a sad song when I'm actually heartbroken that my ex has done me over.
Done me in there.
You know what I mean? I need us to be levels. And it's fantastic that you know that about yourself and you're self-aware that you can do that. You also do a little bit of modelling and stuff now as well. How are you finding that?
I actually I find it like I've found it really amazing actually the past few weeks, like where I've been doing bits and bobs, because I've like really connected with my best friend over it. She's a photographer, so she's been shooting a lot of my stuff for like different brands and things like that. And the way this girl makes me feel confident, like she is my best friend, Lauren. Like the way she makes me feel confident is different, and it's coming across in my photos, and like I'm sure I'll get opportunities to work with other photographers and things like that. But for like right now, for like doing like my little kind of like practice modeling and things for brands and things like that, my God, she's really bringing me up, and it's showing in my photos, and it's showing in the way I'm posing, and I just feel confident. And even before, like even when I've been like a little bit smaller or felt like a little bit more in shape, or like I've had days where I've had even better skill, whatever it is, where you'd assume I'd feel more confident. I think sometimes it's about the way the people you put yourself around and how they make you feel. We talk about this a lot because she's great at bringing like the energy and the vibes up. But yeah, I think just working with people I really trust. Another great photographer, Liam, who you've had on here. Yeah. He manages to always grab a great photo of me. I think it is just because of the who's shooting. I mean, as like a person, not how skilled sometimes they are, which they're both incredibly skilled, but their real skill is how they make you feel when they're shooting. Do you know what I mean? Which is why they can really grab the essence of your beauty. And that's why when Lauren shoots me or Liam shot me, is that I don't run to the face app and start editing my photos, which yes, we're being honest, I do on a lot of my photos, right? But there's them moments where someone's so talented that you don't even need to rush there because they've actually captured the beauty and you've gone, that's it. Do you know what I mean? So 100%. Yeah, it's been very eye-opening and a great confidence booster as well. And just to do shoots for fun as well and not have the thing about getting paid for anything, or just sometimes me and Lauren will just go and shoot just for the sake of just loving and appreciating each other's beauty and skill behind the camera and vice versa, and styling and creative minds, and that's it. So yeah, confidence booster for sure.
Do the same, 100%. That's like, people don't get that. Sometimes it's great to just shoot because you've got an idea that you want to create, like, let's see what we can come up with today. On the other side, you've been a mental health advocate. You've been through experiences yourself, but it's a little bit different when your mental health is affected via somebody else, because normally when you're in the chaos, you're in it, but when someone close to you is in chaos, that can create mental health for you because you don't know how to support them, and they're drowning, but you feel like you're trying to help them and they're not taking the support or whatever. You ended up losing a friend, sadly, to suicide. What was that experience for you? Because it's quite tough, that.
Yeah, this was October last year, so pretty fresh still. It hasn't been a year yet. Her name was Sasha. She was the closest friend, the bestest friend that I have ever had and possibly will ever have. Unlike anybody else, as I moved to Manchester, she moved to Manchester too from Hull. I knew her because she was 26. She was a couple of years older than me. She was an Ibiza girl. My older cousin, who I've always been best friends with, was an Ibiza girl too. So when we moved, there was like link up. We've ended up becoming best friends. I'm not gonna lie, like we used to like going out and recreationally, doing our bits and bobs, smoking, drinking, taking recreational drugs, if we're gonna be honest, you know what I mean? Which we all know that can heighten a party, doesn't heighten the next day. Not at all, right? Not at all. And and there's certain drugs out there now, you've got ketamine and things like that, which you take, and then after 40 minutes you feel sober, right? But the long lasting effects, let me tell you, are detrimental. She was blonde, she was beautiful, she was the funniest girl I think I've ever met. I've never been in laughter like it. And I mean, we was attached to the hip. You would never see me without her or her without me. There was actually three of us. And we used to everyone used to say we was like a little triangle. We would not go anywhere at a party. We would not be seen without each other anywhere. And then one of the other girls had a suicide attempt like the year before, and I'd ended up finding her. Luckily, she was absolutely fine, but they lived together. And then it kind of just it kind of just, I don't know, there was just something in the air. Both of them had split up from their boyfriends, like in previous years, but they were still like, you know, like kind of having it back and forth with them and things like that. And there was just something in the air, right? Something weren't sitting right with us three. Something wasn't right with them two girls. But by the by, we're in Manchester together. We're here for a new life. We are having it off, and that's what I thought we was doing. I thought we was we're getting everything we wanted. She was a hairdresser, so she was struggling. She was in and out of work because of COVID. Found herself with money, then without money. But she never complained about shit. Never. There was nothing that girl complained about. She put herself out there for everybody. Like, she was everyone else's listening ear. She never ever asked for help. I never even knew how she felt, which was, I think, the maddest part about it, is that I knew she was struggling with money and bits like that, but it was never, the way she spoke never required me to say anything more than, come on babe, it'll be all right. We're all right. Because that's how she spoke. She was like, oh, I'm a bit down, I ain't got no money this week. Like really, like she took her life, so she must have felt pretty shit, right? She must have felt really shit. So when I look back and I find it very difficult to read back through texts. A lot of them are voice notes as well, so I find it difficult to. When she first passed away, I found it really easy, and as time's gone on, I find it very difficult. And yeah, and it was all of that, like, oh, I can't come tonight, I ain't got no money. Well, if you ain't going, I ain't going. Come, we'll just come around yours, but I ain't got no money for dinner. Don't worry about it, we'll sort it out. It would be as light as that. And I remember getting the call, and it was like the first time that any three of us had been left in Manchester on our own. The other girl had gone to Croatia for her birthday. Me and Sasha couldn't afford it, so Sasha stayed at home. And my cousin, it was her birthday, so I went down to London. Sasha was left in that flat on her own. And I think she like had a little fumble with her ex. You know, she just started a new job. She had a little mess around with her ex, and she was taking like some drugs at the time, but not heavy. Like, I mean, like, not that I'd consider like anything out of the abnormal. And this is why I'm saying it's so important to talk about, because the what you think's normal for kids to do can so quickly turn into spiraling out of control. And because she wasn't spiraling out of control with the drug use, it was more like just kind of what it was doing for her day to day. And and I remember getting a phone call, and we can't find Sash. And I'm on the train now with my now ex-boyfriend. And we're travelling back to Manchester, and we're stopping off at his friend's house in London to stay the night, have a bit of dinner. And so we've got there, but I'm on the train now, and I've said to my mum, I'm on the phone to my mum, I'm going, I can't find Sasha. But you know when it's a pat train, and my ex-boyfriend's going to me like, my boyfriend's going to me like, shh, like you're like almost like you're embarrassing us. Do you know what I mean? Like, and I'm looking at him thinking, he thought I was being dramatic. Like, you know when girls are like super dramatic about things, oh, I can't find my best friend, something's happened to her. And I think that's what he thought I was doing. And I think still to this day, he's very apologetic and you know, because it did happen. But I knew in my heart of hearts, and we was looking for her, and I'm on the phone on the train, I'm going, yo, have you seen Sasha? Someone bang her door in. I'm shouting, screaming on the phone to people. I'm on the phone to her mum, I'm on the phone to the police. So we've got to London. We've got there, and literally, my ex-boyfriend's friends just pulled out the Wagyu beef burger. Like, it's going to be a good night. I've got this phone call. Bella, you're going to want to sit down. And I remember just standing up. And I knew, and I'd felt it when I'd got on the train. I knew she weren't here. And I was waiting for it. I knew. And the problem was that she was struggling for money, and the reason I knew that she'd done what she'd done was because she didn't go into work that day, and I knew she weren't like that. She always turned up for the money, whether we'd been up all night doing whatever, whether we'd been dancing all night, having jokes all night, if hungover as fuck in the morning. She never missed a day of work. She was a hard-working gal. She really wanted to change her life. She really wanted that money. And she never turned up for work, and that was the red flag for me, and I knew, and I felt it on the train. And I remember, and I'll just never ever forget. I'll just never forget that feeling of falling to the floor. I honestly, I actually never forget it, ever. It was like, and it was painful, man. It was real painful. It was terrible. And and that's what I'm saying about the changes, is I'd really thought I'd been there before. Like I really thought I'd felt pain before, and I just had never felt anything like that. And I remember getting on the phone to my dad, and he, stupidly being quite a matter-of-fact man, was like, well, this is why young kids shouldn't take loads of I know what you get up to at the weekend, like this is and it was not what I needed to hear. So bang, phone went down, didn't talk to him for a few months, and then just as I got to Manchester and got myself there, whoa, man, did I fall quick. And it's literally been probably about the past 2-3 months I've got myself back together. But it was a slippery slope, and it was horrible for my ex-boyfriend, who we've recently just split up. And I feel so bad for him, because he just watched me go. He watched it, and it was like, it was almost life for a life. Like, it was almost like she took her life, and then it does, and then it takes yours too. And it took her mum's, and it took her mum's breath away. It took her little sister's breath away, her dad's. Took my boyfriend's breath away, took his mate's breaths away, because she'd been around us all. And it was just a ripple effect of this. The magnitude of this was insanity. Like grieving. And I felt for the past 8 months like I was going mad. Like one day I'd be fine, and then nowhere. And I remember on my birthday, and my birthday was not long after, it was about 2 months after. And I remember my then boyfriend was amazing. Like he'd got all of our friends together, all of our mutual friends, me and Sasha's, and got them all to do like a surprise birthday for me, which was like one of the sweetest things anyone's ever done for me. And I just looked up, and no one talked to me. I just want to dance. And it was, I just didn't think I was coming back from that. I'm not gonna lie. And it was almost like I've had suicide attempts and things in the past myself. About 15, 16, I'd overdosed on like 2 packets of cocaine and more. So I know what it felt like to be in that place. And it kind of took away from the fact that I felt like I couldn't say I felt like that. And I did, definitely, for the past 8 months. There's definitely days I thought, I can't do this. Because I thought to myself, if I felt like this before and then now I've lost a friend, like it's like, and then I felt very, very selfish for even saying or speaking like that, or feeling like that, so I hid it, which made it worse. But the past 8 months have been hella tough, and it's only literally been the past 2 months, I'd say, that I've started going, I feel great, I feel fine, I'm good. But yeah, there's been nights, and then obviously splitting up from someone as well. Like it's been hella hard. Like it was just like, and then my nan had a heart attack over Christmas too. It was like bang, 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 and then my nan, like she'd signed a do not resuscitate form when she'd had this heart attack. It was Christmas Day as well that she'd had this heart Christmas night. So now we're thinking we're gonna lose my nan. This is 2 months after I've lost Sasha, and then probably about 3 months after that, me and my ex just part ways. And it was just shot after shot after shot, and I just felt like someone just stood me there and was just literally just blowing me up. Like I was like, whoa, and I just never felt anything like it. And then that's what I'm saying. And then now I'm going through a change again, and now I'm going back up again. Do you know what I mean? And I just had to wait, and that's what I was saying, is that I had to sit there, and I did feel like I wanted to run and jump off a cliff. I really did. Like, let's be honest about it. There were nights when I was so close to just going, I'm done. I feel like Sasha. That's what I was saying. I was going to my ex. I feel like her. Like not only am I now struggling with money myself and all the problems she had, now I'm struggling with losing a friend. So now I'm like got her problems plus another one now. So now I feel like her, and then but that was just in my mind at the back. I'm gonna go through another change. There's gonna come a point. It's gonna get better. And I wish she'd have waited for that too. She was way too beautiful and special. I wish she'd have just hung it out a little bit longer. I wish she'd have waited for me to split up with my boyfriend, because I know that was her duty as a best friend. She would have loved that, because she'd have been like, my best friend's back. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it put a lot of guilt in my life, a lot of resentment in my life. towards people, towards situations. I really didn't like hanging out with girls or anything, because I'd be like, you've all got your best friend, like, fuck girls, fuck boys, fuck everybody. Do you know what I mean? And but now I'm up again. And now I'm going back up again. And now I hold her in, you know, I still cry about her all the time. I find it very difficult to talk, like to not talk about her. I find it very easy to talk about her. I find it very difficult to talk to her. I really struggle with that. But I'm going through a change again, and I'm sure she'll be there again when I go back down again, and then you'll go back up again. So, but I'm happy with where I am now, and I feel like I'm coming to terms with it. I've just recently started a bit of grief therapy and stuff, which is really, really helping. And yeah, like I said, just taking the steering wheel and steering it myself and saying, I feel like this, but I'm in control of it. Do you know what I mean?
Do you feel like she's with you? Do you feel like she's proud of you?
Yeah. I feel, do you know what I felt? So I'm quite like spiritual, I'm quite connected. So I guess for the past 8 months when she's been gone, it's only really recently that I've started to get little senses of like, whoa, she's here, or whoa, or I felt that. Like the other day I was in my front room and I was getting ready for something, and a song come on, and it was a song that she'd never even heard before, because it's come out while she's been passed. But you know, when I know she'd like the song, you know, when I knew she was there in the kitchen with me, standing there dancing with me. But I thought I'd feel things a lot more, and I think I started to get a little bit disheartened because I thought, yo, I'm mad spiritual, so if anyone around me passes, I'm one of them. They'll be with me spiritually, and I didn't feel it at all, and I couldn't feel her, and I thought, and I was beating myself up about it. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird thing, because you don't know where they go, and you don't know where they are, and obviously people say they're always in here, or they're always there, but you don't. And when you start thinking like you can't feel their presence, you start panicking. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it's just a weird one to comprehend. I was thinking about her last night, actually, before this podcast, and just thinking, I really miss you. Like, I just can't believe I just can't believe it. Like, I just don't think I'll ever be able to believe it. And it's made me very frightened of life as well, because now I panic and go, I'm going to have to go through this again. Maybe not the suicide thing, but I'm going to have to lose more people. This is what it feels like with my mom. Oh my God, my mom, my dad, like, this is going to happen again and again and again. I'm not ready. I'm not ready, because it's hard. It's hard.
I feel you on that, 100%. Because like I went to a funeral the other day, and after that incident happened to me, that we spoke about, I'm sitting there looking at the funeral, like at the casket, thinking, and then I'm looking around at all my family members and that, and I'm looking at my mum thinking, there's going to be a time I've got to be here, and that's going to be
my
you.
My heart's going like this.
I'm just sitting there, and I was just like, nah. But then, like, I don't know, you just gotta kind of like try and live your life the best you can each day, and it's inevitable. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. And the fact that accepting that certain things are inevitable kind of puts the beauty in things of that you take things for granted when you know it lasts forever. I
think this is why I struggled so much with her suicide, because this wasn't inevitable.
Yeah.
This didn't need to happen.
Especially not yet. You feel like you got
it wasn't a car. It wasn't an accident. It was someone unjustly taking their own life, and it could have been, and all the problems she had could have been so easily fixed. If she'd needed money. Listen, yo, if you feel so bad because you haven't got money, that you we'll get it for you. If that boy's hurt you, we'll get him too. You know, like, listen, his comeuppance will come, anything. If she'd have just asked, and I mean, she probably did, and we probably missed it a lot. But if she was like just really brutally honest, you know what I mean, then a lot of these things. Listen, there was enough money there. There was enough hugs and funny stories. There was enough dresses to take out and make her ex jealous. There was enough Instagram posts we could have done. There was enough makeup we could have put on her. There was something that we could have done. Do you know what I mean? And that's why this one wasn't inevitable. I think that's why I've struggled with it a lot.
Do you feel like now you've got a duty to help other people going forward, so that one, they don't take their lives because it can be avoided and there's help and there's support? Two, so that other people don't feel like how you felt. Do you know what I mean? And how her mum's felt and how her friends and family have felt. And do you know what I mean? Do you feel like you've got a duty of care now? Yeah,
for sure. I've met her. Like, obviously I see her mum and talk to her mum, and she is an amazing woman, and I just can't believe the strength and resilience. And you know what, she probably turned around and said there's no strength there at all, no strength at all.
The fact that you can wake up.
Yeah, she just says that she just feels like she's reliving the same day over and over again. And I just think, wow, I just really don't want to ever see anyone ever go through that. Not only just what Sasha went through, but wow, my mum was calling me up in the middle of the night crying, like.
She's thinking, what if that was my daughter?
That's exactly what my mum said. My mum said, like, yo, it could have been mine, my mum was crying. She was like, I've been stood next to you in a hospital bed after you've had stomachs pumped and on drips and things after you didn't want to be here and stuff. She was just saying, I'm just crying for her mum. She went, I'm just crying as if it's my kid. I'm just crying. I just can't stop crying, and I just can't. I know it's gonna. I know it. Like there'll probably never be a time where we can fully eradicate this problem. But my God, if I can, just one person, I'll be happy. I just can't. It's really bad. It's and that is obviously the be all. That is obviously the ultimate thing when it comes down to mental health and struggling with mental health. That is the ultimate thing you want to avoid, right? Yeah. That's kind of like the be all and end all. That's where any mental health illness can. That's the end. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So it's making sure that people don't get to there. Yeah. I think, and because if we look at it, and the time it takes someone to get there can actually be really long, or it can be really short. And we've got to realise that it's not one of those things that has to always take so much time for someone to get there. It can, for some people, be such a short, almost like a terminal illness for some people when they got cancer and things like that. Sometimes it's like long, you can live with that 7, 8, 9 years. Some people 4 months. Do you know what I mean? It's the same with mental health. Sometimes it's a long road and you've got time to sort it out. Sometimes the problems need to be sorted quick.
For real.
Do you know what I mean? Because I think it was a quick thing with her. Not quick, like a couple of weeks. I think it was like 4 or 5 months that she'd felt bad, and then it was it. Do you know what I mean? But I don't think it was like years and years and years of her life. But I hope not. She seemed to be, well, with me anyway, she seemed to have more good days than bad, which I always treasure.
As you should. It's nice that you've also got an auntie who's a mental health advocate. Yeah. Got counselling company and stuff. And it's nice that you're able to support and just help people in any way. It doesn't have to be like you help people with suicide. Yeah. Because I'd rather not help someone with suicide. I'd rather get them early and help them with their anxiety or their depression. Way before we get over there. Do you know what I mean? Exactly. So how does it feel like having family that's aiding in the change and the fight? And how do you feel like you're supporting that?
I am super proud of my auntie Jodie. She runs a company called The Self Space. The way she's grown that company, the idea stemmed, and I remember talking to her about the original concept, which was like a drop-out counselling service, right? A lot of counselling services now, you got to pay either. You either got to go through NHS, which takes a little while sometimes, or you have to pay and do like a 6 course or a course of them. Do you know what I mean? She wanted to kind of eradicate that. And where you could just, like you said, even just on a day where you just felt slightly shitty, you can just drop in, talk to someone, drop out. And the way she's kind of conceptualized this and turned it into something incredible is just amazing. She's now wrote a book, I've forgotten what it's called, how to live. So I'll get him to put it in the bio somewhere. And I need to get a copy of my auntie actually. But yeah, so she's got these little kind of like, them little like cabin things, like the metal ones, the storage containers. She's got them in London and things, and they're like little front rooms. So like you can literally just walk in. You can have a book book a little time slot. Walk in, hang out, chill, talk, and you never have to see him again. And that's they're not chasing up on you or anything. It was about making support casual. And that was her whole idea, and she's absolutely smashed it. And like she's been doing some great stuff with the Calm Zone. They've done an amazing project in South Bank where they blew up the last selfies and pictures that suicide victims had ever taken of themselves on their phone. Amazing. So got into them photos. Every single one of them, they were smiling.
Amazing.
Every photo, everything, and it was about that, and it was about that suicide doesn't always look, and depression doesn't always look sad. Do you know what I mean? And every photo that they'd come across, and she was on, I think it was This Morning or the Lorraine show, one of them shows, talking about it. And she comes from a creative background. She was originally a presenter. for Fort Boyard. I don't know if you remember that show. And yeah, so and then a lot of her counsellors are creative.
Fort Boyard.
Yeah.
On Channel 4,
yeah.
E4.
Yeah.
That show was sick.
That was
was
there.
sick.
Yeah, and so she did that. So yeah, so a lot of her people are creative. And yeah, so that when I was doing the counselling on the X Factor, that's who I was going to see. So the X Factor would book me the cab. I'd go over. I didn't get counselled by my auntie because obviously I talk about my dad and my mum and my brother and do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I found a great counsellor called Chance. He is amazing. And you can also, like, if any guys who are watching this, you can go on at the Self Space, go on book with Chance. Is incredible. You can literally book Zoom, FaceTime. So if you need, like, if you're in a bad way and you're halfway across the world and you've gone through a breakup, or it's like, yo, you can touch someone 15 minutes on the phone, a qualified counsellor, it like that quick. So if anyone's in need, you know, whether it's a breakup, no one's answering their phones, and you need to talk to someone, you know, and sometimes, you know, the Samaritans and things are great, but they're not always qualified to give advice, and things like that. So if you ever need a solid conversation, they're great, and I highly recommend Chance. He's super, super cool. But yeah, so it's been amazing, and I help her and I share all her stuff, and I'm hopefully going to do some more stuff with her too. But yeah, she's great. But you should check out her page because there's some really great quotes. You know, she's a very real person too. Do you know what I mean? She's quite real. She says it how it is.
Well, you should be.
Yeah.
Have you got any advice for anyone that wants to embark on a journey similar to yours? Not just the music. Obviously, your life's quite complex and seasoned, because it'd be immature of me to just say just about the music side. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what the greatest thing about you is not the music side. It's what you've been through, the ups, the downs, the ebbs and the flows, and understanding and having a mindset of embracing change, the lows, the highs. Have you got any advice for people that are struggling with that?
I think start being honest with yourself. That's when you start noticing the patterns of behaviour. You can't accept the change if you don't see the change coming. Because 9 times out of 10, when you're on a up, obviously that's a gradual thing. You can see yourself climbing. When you're on a down, you can see where you're going. Do you know what I mean? And it's about being honest with yourself. And then that's how you can accept it, because if it takes you by surprise all the time, then you're never accepting it, because you're always surprised by the shots, by the blessings, or do you know what I mean? And I think to fully embrace it and be aware of it, you have to kind of understand and be honest with yourself. Like, yo, I can feel myself just gonna have a bad, like, or these things just keep happening. Okay, I can see where I'm going. Rock it out. Let's ride with it. I can see me going up. Let's ride with that too. But if you're on a down and you're not really accepting it, and I'm not saying not accepting it by pretending you're okay, I'm just like, just kind of not even taking no notice of it. Do you know what I mean? And just falling without even note, because you don't even want to admit that you're going down that way. Do you know what I mean? Like it's about noticing it and catching, so that when it's like on a roller coaster, if you close your eyes and you're like, you don't know where you're going. Do you know what I mean? If you're watching, you know, like as you go up, you know, and you can see the down coming, so you can feel it, you're prepared, and you hold on to the chair a bit tighter, you hold on to the person next to you, so you're prepared. So I think it's about being a little bit honest, and because you start noticing patterns of behaviour then. And I can notice that, you know, I sort of get like timelines now of I can kind of tell how long this is going to last now. Do you know what I mean? So obviously some things are out of our control, like losing people and things like that, which can set you off, and obviously that's out of our control sometimes, but 9 times out of 10 now, I can kind of see myself doing exactly what I've done before. Do you know what I mean? But now I understand, and I'm honest with myself, and I prepare that the fall is never, and that's where it starts to get a little bit shallower, the dips. Do you know what I mean? Rather than like that, because that was when I was just closing my eyes and just hoping for the best. Whereas now I'm looking, and so the ride's a lot smoother.
I understand that 100%. I always say, look under the bed, because you know, like when you're a child.
Yeah.
Or that closet or something, like you're scared to sleep in a room by yourself, scared of boogie monster under the bed.
Yeah,
like look under the bed, like face it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like you can't be scared anymore, but like face your fears.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And gradually, like a lot of things are a lot worse in our head than they are in reality. Do you know what I mean? But thank you for coming on the pod.
Thank you for having me. I think it's my favourite podcast I was on, you know. Yeah.
That's another episode wrapped up. Thanks for tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, all of that. And we're out. Peace.
We out.